What do you do when you know what to do, but you're terrified to do it? Okay, so this is perfectly normal and it happens to a lot of us, especially when it has to do with life decisions. Okay, so the bigger the life decision, sometimes the more terrified we are of kind of taking that step or taking that leap of faith. Okay, so for this particular question, the good news here is that you already know what to do. So that's great because a lot of times one of the most difficult things that people face when they're walking their path is having access to that clear intuition that lets them know, should I go right or should I go left or should I go straight ahead? Okay. So a lot of times people struggle to develop that intuition of where to go, left, right, or straight. So this person here that submitted the question, they're already there at the place where they know in their heart that they want to go this way. Okay. But now the fear starts to creep in, right? Because even when you know with all of your heart that you want to go in this direction, taking that first step can be very, very terrifying, especially if it's a big step or a big decision. Okay. And so if this is the case, if even if it's a small decision, but usually we feel blocked or stuck or terrified to the point where we can't move, it's usually when it's a bigger decision, when it's something really consequential in our lives. Okay. And so when this is happening, usually what I recommend is to just start small. Okay. So for some people, and that happens a lot with my energy. So if I have a big life decision to make, the picture that I have is I'm standing on this big cliff and I'm right at the edge of the cliff and I just throw myself off the cliff. That's just me. I have very strong Sagittarius fire energy. And so when I make a decision, it's like, okay, I'm just going to throw myself off the cliff. Like there's no point, no point. I'm going to throw myself off the cliff. It's the same thing I do when I go in the ocean. If I go in water that's really cold, what's the point of tiptoeing into the water? I always think that's insane because I'm like, tiptoeing is not going to help. I'm just going to throw myself in the water. And yeah, I may scream for a little while because it's really cold, but then I'm going to get used to it and I'm going to get it over with. Whereas some people prefer to step in cold water with very, very 1 foot at a time, kind of getting used to the water and then going a little bit more. So I don't know what type of energy the person that submitted this question has, but if you don't have the type of energy that I have, which is that fiery energy that just goes headfirst into things, then what you can do is you can actually start slower and build practice up to that. So I'll give a practical example. If you have a big life decision, you know that's what you want to do, but you're kind of paralyzed by fear, take one little step at a time towards that decision. So I don't know specifically what this person's decision is, but I'll give a practical example because I like to work with practical examples. So let's say you live in San Francisco and you have this really strong intuition that you need to move to New York. Okay, literally across the country. And, this is going to mean that maybe you have to change jobs and maybe your whole life is going to change because now you're literally moving from coast to coast. Okay, and this is paralyzing you. Oh my God, that's a really big move. I have to sell my house and then I have to find my job in New York and I have to find a house in New York. And so there can be a lot of little things going on that really paralyze you. So start small. And what you'll notice is when you start small and you start to invite the universe to come in, things start to get a lot easier and the fear starts to dissipate. So for example, if using this practical example, if you know in your heart that you want to move to New York, then okay, instead of getting overwhelmed for all of the things that you have to do, just step one little step towards that movement to New York. So maybe it could be something as small as you going on a real estate website and just checking out what apartments are for rent and just looking through the pictures and seeing if there's an apartment that catches your attention, like visually see yourself in this new space. And it helps if you're like on a real estate website and you're looking at spaces and then you see yourself in that space. Okay. So it could be something as simple as this, or it could be something like you taking a weekend and just taking a weekend off and just taking a quick trip to New York and walking around and getting to know the city and getting to feel the city and waiting for synchronicities. And then you go back to San Francisco and, after the weekend, and that in itself is a step. Okay. So, but you see what I mean? Like you're taking small steps towards eventually packing your bags and moving to New York. It doesn't have to be in one fell swoop. But when you feel that paralyzing fear, if you just take one small little action at a time, you're going to start to build the confidence to then take that big action. For other people, the first step could be something as simple as you sitting down just sitting down and talking to the universe, closing your eyes and saying to yourself, I'm going to do that. Please show me how. I've done this many, many times. So I've literally said to the universe, when I know and I'm guided that I had to be in a specific place, I would say, okay, I'm moving to that place. Please show me how. Like literally, I've done this many times. And what ends up happening is that energy of me saying to the universe, I want to go over there, please show me how. The universe then starts opening doors. Okay, so it could be your little step, could be something as simple as sitting down in meditation and saying to the universe, I'm doing this. Please show me how. Please show me the best way to do this. And then the universe is going to start to show you signs and synchronicities on the path of least resistance to get to that, to get to what you're intuitively feeling guided to do. Okay. But I hope this helps. If it's a big decision, just go one little step at a time. If that's your energy, if you have an energy more like mine, the advice is simpler. And that is just throw yourself off the cliff, throw yourself in the cold water, just throw yourself but if you don't have my energy, then one little step at a time will get you there.